the latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. If you are new here, this is Aduba, and you are welcome to my channel. On this channel, I share educational content concerning Africa and those in the diaspora, so together we can fight for the total liberation of the African. Our brothers and sisters in South Africa are on the street chasing everybody out, and you must leave before 30th of June. That is the deadline they have given to us, because they believe that we are the reason to which they are suffering. But the white people have a message for our brothers and sisters in South Africa. According to the message that they are sending to our brothers and sisters in South Africa, that they are also foreigners. It's only one tribe in South Africa that is a legitimate native of South Africa. So South Africans themselves need to be chased out of South Africa because they are also foreigners, based on the perspective and the history these people are also giving to our brothers and sisters in South Africa.
It seems to me that South Africans, particularly African South Africans, are under the misapprehension that they somehow have a claim on South African land that the South African white indigenous community doesn't have. The reality is that there's only one group of people that actually can lay claim to land in South Africa, and that's the Khoi. Outside of the Khoi, every single black person in South Africa is an immigrant to South Africa. Just as my forefathers, four generations back, came to South Africa as an immigrant. So let's call a spade a spade. We are all immigrants in this country. We have all taken the land of the Khoi in this country. The difference being that my forefathers never took land. They bought land. They worked for that land. They earned the money to buy the land. Something quite foreign to the Zulu and the Xhosa and the Pedi, who literally came and stole the land from the Khoi in South Africa. So don't be disingenuous, people. Don't speak with a forked tongue, because that is the South African culture, to speak with a forked tongue. To actually pretend to be something none of you are. Indigenous South Africans.
Say 1948, when the Afrikaners took power, and then when they handed over power in the 1990s. Could you quickly give us a thumbnail?
Okay. All right. The first thing to recognize about South Africa is that black people are not the original inhabitants of South Africa, which, in fact, they're realizing that now. When they claimed that they owned all the land, the original inhabitants, of who there are not many left, said, excuse me, we were the original inhabitants, you guys were migrants here as well, which they were. Okay, so, the original inhabitants of Southern Africa are called the Khoisan. In the West, the Bushmen are Khoisan. Hottentots are Khoisan. But you can't use those words anymore, you now have to call them Khoisan, okay? All right, now, and they were the inhabitants of the whole of Southern Africa. So the whole of South Africa, at one stage, were Khoisan. The black people originated in what is now Cameroon. That's where they...
Hold on, Khoisan aren't black?
No.
What are they?
They're a completely separate ethnicity all on their own. In fact, if you look at them, they're kind of yellowy. They're a light brown yellow color. Right. But they look more Asian than African. They do not consider themselves African.
Interesting.
And in fact, they've become the colored people. So, and I find that people outside South Africa become really upset if you use the word colored, because they think you're using it the way Americans use colored, and that's not how South Africans use colored. Colored is an actual ethnic group. They truly have their own culture. They consider themselves an ethnic group on their own, with their own traditions, their own identity, etc. And they are a product of slaves who were brought to South Africa, who mixed with the original Khoisan to create colours. But anyway, we'll go back to...
black colonisation of the Khoisan.
Well, we'll start with when white guys arrive in Cape Town.
Right.
When the white guys arrive in Cape Town, so 1652 is when Dutch guys arrived there. At that stage, you could have divided South Africa almost exactly 50-50, what's now South Africa. The western half of the country was entirely Khoisan. There were no black people there. None at all. Only Khoisan. So we're Cape Towners, all that area, Khoisan people. The northern part of the country did have black people. They'd started arriving, and they were still migrating.
How long have they been there in the northern?
Well, it's a moot point, and people have debated it. It would seem that black people had probably started arriving in the northern parts of South Africa maybe 1,000 years, something like that, about 1,000 years before whites got there, right up in the north, okay? And they've been slowly moving south because it's an empty space. I mean, one of the things about Africa is it's very empty. Up until the 1950s, Africa was very empty. It's the population exploded because white colonists, the naughty white colonists, put hospitals there, and there's been this huge population explosion since the 1950s. But Africa was really very empty up until then. And so tribes moved around and just occupied new empty territory. So the guys coming down from the north, who called the Bantus, it's called the Bantu expansions when black people came out of the Cameroons. They'd been occupying South Africa and moving systematically south, down the east coast.
They were
of South Africa.
pastoralists, am I right?
Yeah, they were pastoralists, yeah. Whereas the Khoisan were hunter-gatherers. They were like Aboriginals, okay? So they hadn't become pastoralists yet.
Right.
Now, the black guys are migrating down from the north and settling, doing exactly what white guys are doing. So white guys, the Dutch guys from Cape Town, were settling by moving eastwards. So the white guys are moving from Cape Town eastwards, and the black guys are moving down from the north. And they met at a place called the Fish River, which is now in the middle of South Africa at a place called, it's still called Border. Everybody in South Africa calls that part of the country the border, even though there's no border there at all anymore. But it was a river called the Fish River, which is where blacks and whites first encountered each other. And then it started 100 years of warfare between whites and the Xhosa, who were the tribe that they met there. So, okay, so at that point, that would have been in about 1700. So whites and blacks first encountered each other in 1700. Okay? So whites had already been there for 100 years at that point. But they'd been colonizing the western part of the country. And in fact, white guys brought slaves. People don't know that slaves were brought to Africa. Now, the Dutch brought slaves to Africa, to Cape Town, because there were no black people, and they considered the Khoisan too primitive. They kind of went, we can't even train these guys. They're hunter-gatherers, and it's just too hard. So we're going to have to get labor from somewhere. And interestingly enough, there was a debate within the Dutch East India Company as to what do we do. One of the options was, at that stage, apparently there was an economic collapse.
But South Africans must understand that this generation wouldn't be the generation that will sack us. If you are chasing after black people, claiming that they are the reason to which we are suffering, and for that matter, they must leave and they are illegal, there is a message for you. People are pointing fingers at your legitimacy, and you are rather going after people that are sitting somewhere thinking about themselves. The system is built not to favor anybody. And it's not because other people are going through pain. That is why they have run to South Africa. Migration is part of human life. And before your generation came, we're migrating. And if they are saying that you are illegal migrants in South Africa, just like you are chasing other people, it means that you also migrated from one place to South Africa, and you also have to go back. So it means that we also have the right to chase you out of South Africa per what these people are saying. This is not the time for us in Africa to be fighting among ourselves as to whether this person belongs here or there or not. The time has come for us all to see ourselves as one people. They have other migrants who are foreigners from Europe and other places. You don't see your other counterparts going after their own kind because they see them to be their brothers. They see them to be one of them. They love themselves. So why can't we also channel the energy towards loving ourselves and uniting to make sure we do something better for ourselves? Chasing your brothers and sisters out, claiming they're foreigners, isn't going to solve the unemployment, isn't going to reduce the crime rate, like you are pointing the wrong fingers at your brothers and sisters, making it look as if without them, South Africa wouldn't have any crime. No! Go to your leaders and ask for the true state of the crime and the people who are behind the crime. So South Africans, you have to also channel your energy into proving to us that you are the legitimate owners of South Africa, because as you are fighting us, people are rising against you, claiming that you are not also South Africans or the land is not yours. So you don't have any right to go after other people, calling them foreigners. This is an amazing thing that is happening in South Africa, because as you are pointing fingers at us, your brothers are also pointing fingers at you, calling you illegitimate, and you are foreigners on your land that you claim is yours. So who is telling us the truth? If it is only one tribe, the rest of you that are not part of this tribe, it means that we have to also join or turn against you and make you move out of South Africa and tell us where exactly you come from before you can also point a finger at us. So they said the only people who have the right to go after nationals, calling them illegal migrants, is that tribe alone. So our brothers and sisters in South Africa, where do you fall? So you need to also come and then point the history that shows that you are all from South Africa and not moving from either Nigeria, Zimbabwe, or any part of Africa to settle in South Africa. Africans, we must unite. We must start to love ourselves. We must start to see ourselves as one people. That is the only thing that can bring the unity and the job and everything that we are looking for. But fighting among ourselves can never give us what we are looking for. This is not the time to be doing this. This is the time to unite, because the continent needs unity in order for us to fight for our total liberation. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's colonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, Southern Africa, and in South Africa.